Hello, today is a Sunday, September 28th, I think, right? I only remember my payday. Sorry, today is, I was looking at the October calendar. I'm just going back, and it's the 28th, right? Today is a Sunday, September 28th, 2025. It's a little bit gloomy day outside. This early morning and the late morning we had some rain. Then it subsided, and I ventured outside to Dongdaemun Market and Seoul City Hall, and I bought a pair of several briefs and underwear. Then I bought two long-sleeved shirts, very cheap, 2,001 each, which is about $1.50. That's cheap, right? $1.50. Without China or Vietnam, we cannot live forever, right? We need their support. So today, let's learn how to study Chinese. I'm very interested in learning Chinese. I have been studying Chinese for 3 years on and off, 2 hours each week, but I didn't pay much attention. Sometimes I paid attention and tried to memorize, but that's it. I didn't devote my fervor to study Chinese, but I'm interested in learning Chinese. My English is perfect, right? I scored perfect on TOEIC and TOEFL test. I'm in tests and I'm perfect on everything. I hope to be perfect in Chinese too, because in 3 years' time when I retire, probably I have to work in China, right? In China, because I would like to go into import and export. Sorry, not import and outport, import and export business, selling Korean stuff to China and bringing in Chinese stuff to Korea, and also bringing in Canadian or American stuff to China or into Korea. Maybe relay stuff from America to China because of the tariff war, the relay market or a mediation market sounds okay. So to do that, we need to have a good command of Chinese. So let's learn how to study Chinese. This one is from famous Steve Kaufman. I think he speaks like 20 languages, and he's old, but he's quite energetic. He looks very smart, and he looks very intelligent too. So this article was written by Steve Kaufman on June 12th, 2025, and the title is How to Learn Chinese, My Top 6 Tips. Are you interested in how to learn Chinese effectively? I studied Mandarin Chinese 50 years ago. Within 9 months, I could translate newspaper editorials, read novels, and interpret for others. Damn, he's very intelligent. I accomplished this long before the age of the internet, language learning apps, and other online resources available today. Reflecting on my own experience, I have 6 pieces of advice to successfully learn Chinese. Although the amount of resources available for language training has definitely changed, these tips are timeless for Chinese language learners. 1. Prioritize listening. For the first month or 2 of your studies, just focus on listening. Just get used to the sounds and rhythm of the language. If possible, you should also read whatever you are listening to. As a beginner, start reading with a phonetic writing system, such as pinyin, in order to get a better sense of what you are hearing. You will have to learn those characteristics eventually, but the initial goal is to get a little momentum in the language. A new language may sound like incomprehensible noise at the beginning. Your first step in learning Chinese is to build up an auditory memory. Grow accustomed to the sounds, differentiate words and tones, and start letting some initial words and phrases reverberate in your brain. Reverberate, right? That's a good word. Reverberate. Reverberate in your brain. Reverberate in your brain. I started learning Mandarin by listening to Chinese dialogues on intermediate Romanized text. At first, the narrator, right? Narrator spoke so fast. I don't know, it's bugging me here. Narrator spoke so fast that I found the resource slightly tortuous. However, it worked. After about a month, I had a sense of the language. With each repetition, the initial slurry of words became more and more comprehensible. Comprehensible, right? Initial slurry of words became more and more comprehensible. The initial slurry of words become more and more comprehensible. Bonus tip: start learning a language with intermediate level texts that include a lot of repetition and useful vocabulary. Overly simple beginner texts are not a sufficient challenge. The Mandarin Chinese mini stories at LingQ, for example, are intentionally written with initial vocabulary, basic sentence structures, and lots of repetition. This type of resource was not available to me 50 years ago. LingQ's library has lots of learning material and Chinese content to offer. If you have more specific interests, you can import your own content with LingQ's browser extension. This feature is available in Chrome, Safari, Edge, and Firefox. 2. Devote time to memorizing characters. As you start gaining confidence with the language, it's time to start learning Chinese characters. Work at learning these characters every day. Consistency is key, right? Consistency is key. Consistency is key. I recommend starting with 10 characters a day and gradually increasing to 30. I can't stress enough that this needs to be a daily habit. I mean, this is good, right? I can't stress enough that this needs to be a daily habit. I can't stress enough. I can't stress enough, man. What is going on? I can't stress enough that this needs to be a daily habit. I can't stress enough that this needs to be a daily habit. You will forget the characters almost as quickly as you learn them, and you may want to consider using Anki or some other spaced repetition system. For example, I developed my own spaced repetition system with a set of 1,000 flashcards for the 1,000 most frequent characters. I used these flashcards and sheets of grade paper to practice writing these characters. I would pick up one card, write the character down 10 times, and then write the meaning and pronunciation in the margins, repeating this process until I had a solid grasp on the entire set. As you progress, learning new characters will become easier. There are many recognizable radicals, hints, and patterns in the less frequent characters. Through ample exposure, you will start to notice these radicals and components that suggest sound and meaning. However, start with a constant and dedicated effort into learning the most frequent characters. 3. Recognize patterns, don't memorize rules. Focus on patterns. To learn Chinese, you do not want to lose yourself in complicated grammar explanations. As with any language, your goal is to build a sense of intuition, right? Sense of intuition. Overemphasis of precision. Yeah, I was drinking a boy tea or poor cha from China. Focus on patterns. To learn Chinese, you do not want to lose yourself in complicated grammar explanations. As with any language, your goal is to build a sense of intuition. An overemphasis of precision can inhibit your ability to communicate fluidly and kill your confidence. When I was studying Chinese, we had a wonderful book by Harriet Mills and P.S. Ni. It was called Intermediate Reader in Mandarin Chinese. Every lesson introduced the patterns in the language, and I used those patterns to frame whatever I wanted to say. I am not well versed in Chinese grammar. I am unfamiliar with many Chinese grammatical terms. Regardless, I am quite fluent. I have seen books that introduce special grammar terms for Chinese, but these materials aren't essential to learn Chinese. Besides, Chinese has a rather uncomplicated grammar. This is one of the pleasures of learning Chinese. There are no declensions, conjugations, genders, verb aspects, complicated tenses, or other sources of confusion found in many European languages. What is declensions? I've never heard of it. Bonus tip. If you like a free grammar resource to help supplement your learning, then I recommend Linku's Chinese grammar resource. It's simple, condensed, and full of examples. 4. Read as much as you can. I progressed more quickly than any fellow students 50 years ago, and I would attribute this to the fact that I read everything I could get my hands on. I didn't limit myself to special texts for learners. I tackled a wide range of material on subjects of interest to me. In particular, I remember reading Chinese dialogues and then leveling up to a graded history text called 20 Lectures on Chinese Culture. This text was a fascinating means of learning about Chinese history and culture while engaging with the language. I don't need to power through boring content about fictional people in China. If you don't find what you are reading interesting, it's not the best resource for you. Intermediate Reader in Modern Chinese from Cornell University is another fantastic resource filled with authentic texts about modern Chinese politics and history. Each lesson introduced patterns but kept drills and explanations to a minimum. After 7 or 8 months, I read my first novel, Rickshaw Boy or 客套洋子 by Lao Shi, a famous novel about life in early 20th century Beijing. Find appropriate reading material for your level. Seek graded readers, glossaries, and context-based materials. What does it mean? Seek graded readers, glossaries, and context-based material. In Hong Kong, I explored bookstores for books with 300 or 600 characters. Today, you have even more options online. Materials should match your level, allowing you to understand content while still challenging you to grow. 5. Use online tools to learn Mandarin. Leverage every tool at your disposal. Online dictionaries, apps like LinkQ, Google Translate, and dictation software. I use LinkQ because it consolidates all of these resources on one platform. For example, I can instantly look up, save, and review new words with just one click. Nowadays, it's possible to listen and learn Chinese anywhere. 50 years ago, I had to sit down in front of my recorder, put on my earphones, and listen to a very limited collection of audio content. Today, content is abundant. YouTube, Netflix, online newspapers, etc. fill my library on LinkQ. Furthermore, I'm able to take my learning material with me wherever I go. Working out, washing the dishes, walking in my neighborhood. Online tools make constant listening a possibility. That's good expression, right? Online tools, right? Where's my stylus pen? Here. Online tools make constant listening a possibility. Online tools make constant listening a reality, a possibility. Speak and make lots of mistakes. You will need to get comfortable with making mistakes while speaking. Find a tutor on LinkedIn, italki, or Preply, right? Preply to put your knowledge to the test. Speaking practice does not need to be emphasized very early in your learning journey, but as you progress, it becomes more useful. Speaking is feedback. You quickly discover what concepts you are conversant in, what structures or vocabulary you are lacking, and whether or not you are able to clearly communicate. A tutor or language exchange partner can help guide you in the right direction. Every time you use the language, you are practicing, adjusting, and improving. Don't worry about perfection while speaking. Let the language flow out and you will see gradual improvement. That's good. Simply a simple daily routine. If I were to learn Chinese all over again, what would my routine look like? Given that I would only be able to devote an hour a day to studying, here's what I would do. Review 10 minutes. I like to start my day with a review. This could be reviewing characters, rereading familiar material, etc. It builds confidence and helps reinforce knowledge. Right? It builds confidence and helps reinforce knowledge. It builds confidence and help reinforce knowledge. It builds confidence and helps reinforce knowledge. It builds knowledge and helps reinforce knowledge. It builds confidence and helps reinforce knowledge. It builds confidence and helps reinforce knowledge. Passive listening, 30 minutes. Normally, I can find more than 30 minutes in my day to listen to my target language. However, preparing breakfast is often an ideal time for me. I can easily listen to Mandarin audio while cutting fruit, making coffee, or tidying up the kitchen, right? Cutting fruit, making coffee, or tidying up the kitchen. Tidying up the kitchen. Tidying up the kitchen, cutting fruit, making coffee. Passive listening, right? Passive listening. That's good strategy. That's what I use most of the times. Closer reasoning, 20 minutes. Later in the day, I like to prioritize reading. I sit down, open up LinQ, and start reading. Whether saving words, reading transcripts, or reviewing phrases, I need to have devoted time in which I fully focus on the language. Italki tutoring 1 to 2 times per week. I'll meet with a tutor once or twice a week, depending on my level and current goals. I prefer for the tutor to write down vocabulary and mistakes for me to look over after the session. During our time together, I just want to have interesting conversations. Exactly. That's what I like the most. Final thoughts. So basically, the routine would be a review 10 minutes, passive listening 30 minutes, closer reading, right, 20 minutes, italki tutoring 1 to 2 times per week. Final thoughts. Learning Mandarin is a journey that requires time, patience, and consistent effort. Consistency is key. But the rewards are truly unparalleled. By embracing these strategies, you will unlock a gateway to connecting with over 20% of the world's population. Mandarin isn't just a language. It's a key to understanding one of the richest cultural and historical tapestries in human history. Tapestries, right? Tapestries. What is the tapestries? Tapestries is basically cloth over the table. So it means extravagant, blown up history, right? Tapestry or recommendation tapestries. Stick with it and you will find that the connections, opportunities, and insights you gain make every moment of effort worthwhile. Enjoy this post. You might also enjoy my post on the best way to learn a language for broader tips that are applicable to any language. Tapestries. FAQs, facts. 1. Can I become fluent in Mandarin in 6 months? Not fully, but you can reach a level of comfort to interact, read basic material, and continue improving rapidly. 2. Should I learn characters from day one? No, focus on listening and speaking first. Introduce characters gradually once you understand words and meaning. 3. What's the best way to practice listening? Listen to natural speed dialogues repeatedly, even if it is too fast at first. Your comprehension will improve over time. 4. How can I learn Mandarin vocabulary efficiently? Consistently read and listen to the language, and avoid relying solely on dictionaries for isolated words. 5. Is speaking with natives essential? If your goal is to interact with native speakers, yes. But I recommend emphasizing speaking once you have a basic understanding of the language. Okay, So I recommend emphasizing speaking once you have a basic understanding of the language. Norm Hammer, in your YouTube 6X, you said that in this blog post there would be, I speak 20 languages. I've been learning languages for over 50 years, and I have tried all kinds of approaches. I've never learned as quickly or as enjoyably as I do now on LinkU. Available on all platforms. So Steve Kaufman knows 20 languages. From this article, I now try to remember what I marked to be remembered. It helps builds confidence and helps reinforce knowledge, right? Reverberate in your brain. Declensions, I don't know what that is. It's a grammatic term. What else I marked to remember? It builds confidence and helps reinforce knowledge. Passive listening, cutting fruit, right? Tidying up the kitchen. Online tools make listening a constant listening a possibility. Online tools make constant listening a possibility. Consistency is key. Right? I can't stress enough that this needs to be a daily habit. I can't stress enough that this needs to be a daily habit. I can't stress enough that this needs to be a daily habit. I can't stress enough that this needs to be a daily habit. I can't stress enough that this needs to be a daily habit. Narrator. Their initial slurry of words become more and more reverberate in your brain. The initial slurry of words become more and more comprehensible. The initial slurry of words become more and more comprehensible. The initial slurry of words become more and more comprehensible. The initial slurry of words become more and more comprehensible. The initial slurry of words become more and more comprehensible. Reverberate in your brain. So it builds confidence and helps reinforce knowledge. Cutting fruit, making coffee, or tidying up the kitchen. Online tools make constant listening possibility. Consistency is key. I can't stress enough that this needs to be a daily habit. Narrator. The initial slurry of words become more and more comprehensible. The initial slurry of words become more and more comprehensible. Reverberate in your brain. Well, that's it. Thanks for listening. Have a great Mandarin Chinese day, study day. Take care and bye-bye.